In this edition of Affirming Voice Interviews, we're going to hear from owner and creative designer Nikki Halgren of Gleeful Peacock. Nikki started creating things when she was about 30 years old. She got an inkling to change something in her life. Within 4 short years, she went from making a few things at home to visiting different church and craft fairs in and around Tulsa to the Dallas World Market. And today, her product is in over 2,500 stores worldwide. And she just signed on with 5 new regional rep groups throughout the United States, from Atlanta to LA, from Minneapolis to Dallas. If you're a small business person, you're going to get a lot out of this interview. To just go for it, to do it, to put your mind to the fact that you were created for something special. Take a listen. So, Nikki, tell me a little bit about how you got your start. You were 30, and the story kind of goes where you were really looking to kind of get back to your true self as an artist.
I turned 30. I found myself in a very beige office. I felt very lost, and I wanted to try to find myself again and find this artistic soul that I always fancied myself to be. It first started with me dressing a little bit more colorfully and trying to find more colorful jewelry to wear, which was kind of difficult unless I wanted to wear beaded jewelry. I spray painted everything and painted everything that wasn't nailed down in my house. And I kind of went on this soul-searching mission. And one of those things that I decided to do was to start doing art again. And I had a friend at the time that we started talking and decided that we were going to sign up for a local craft show. And we decided to split a booth. And it was a 10 by 10 booth. If you have a 5 foot by 5 foot section of space, what can you fit in that? Mm-hmm. Very little. And so probably being jewelry is about all you have. So I decided that I was going to make some jewelry for this little section at the time. I did decide I was going to start a business at some point. So I made some jewelry for this show, some very colorful jewelry. I did really well at it.
And you you were selling a lot at the craft shows, weren't you?
I did. I sold a lot. And I mean, at the time, I thought it was a lot. Looking back now, it probably wasn't a lot. But, you know, you only know what you know. At the time, it was enough to excite me. It was enough to make me feel like I was onto something. It was enough to keep me going. I did that craft show, and then all of a sudden I was like, I'm going to find every craft show. This was like in September. I'm going to find every craft show within miles. And I signed up for everyone in the season, and I did every local craft show I could that season. So I did. I started doing every show I could drive to while I worked my full-time job. Yes, it is. I can't believe I used to work a full-time job, stay up till 2 a.m. making jewelry, and then do this every weekend. Like, I wanted to go back and give myself like a hug and a high five, and then shake myself and tell myself, why did you do this to yourself? I did that for years, these crazy hours.
And that's what you did for 2 or 3 years? 3 straight years. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Years. I worked crazy hours hauling my stuff. And then show season was very seasonal. And so then I was like, okay, so if these show seasons are only in the spring and in the fall, I started asking people to do home parties for me. So then I would, on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, people would open up their home for me, and I'd go set up in their home, and, I'd give them a hostess gift, and people would sell my stuff out of their home. Some of those people are still my dearest and greatest friends. And I just hustled, and I just worked, and I just, for some reason, just had this idea and this. I look back and I go, how and why did I think this would turn into anything? But I just kept working, and I kept believing that it would, I guess. And I guess I never thought it would be what it is now. I just knew that if every day one more person knew about it, and every day one more person owned a piece, that was something. And it was growing, and I just knew that people would call me or email me, and they'd say, this piece reminds me of my grandma, and this piece reminds me of my childhood, And that like meant something to me. And that was enough for me to stay up. That was enough for me to do this.
Yeah. Is that where you think their passion came from, was really kind of hearing that from others, maybe? It
was that people would tell me, they would say, I see your stuff and I think I get it. And it's like, where has this been my whole life? Like, it speaks to me. They would say that it's just their style.
I know that for me, when I first saw it, I thought, why haven't I seen this before? I mean, this is a jewelry line that's really not out there, but there's lots of bangle bracelets. There's lots of, the jewelry industry is saturated with stuff, but there's something really different where I liked hearing you say that, where people say that's something that spoke to me.
I see pictures of people still that are like became my Facebook friends from, 5 years ago because they went to a craft show. And they're wearing a hairpiece that I know I made 5 years ago, and they're wearing them in their family photos, and it's still special to them. That just kept me going, that they were like, this just speaks to my soul. And that they just felt like I was creating something that they hadn't seen before, and that spoke to them in a way that nothing else was speaking to them. And then my daughter, like, looking at me saying, you're going to be famous one day, Mom. Just like, or she would be like, I saw someone at school wearing one of your pieces. You are famous.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. The story that you had told me one time was about what kind of made you go for it. So you're really hustling. You're working hard at producing a jewelry line that people are selling at craft shows and in their homes. But there was something I think you said a lady had mentioned to you about a show, a market. And you said, what's that?
Yeah, I had no idea what market was. And I have now learned that we all fell into it. Nobody grows up knowing what it is. Very few of us do. But I didn't know what it was. Somebody found me when I was down in Austin, and they were like, you should really do this, market at Dallas. And I was like, I'm not going to do this craft show in Dallas for 4 days. You've got to be kidding me. Had no idea what it was. And then another maker I had overheard once saying, my lifelong dream is to do market. And I was like in Dallas? And they're like, yeah. And that's when I was like thinking, what is this? And if this is someone else's lifelong dream, I should probably look into this. So once I decided that it was someone else's lifelong dream, I put some research into it, and I decided to do it. And I was signed up for craft shows up until like the week before Christmas. And we all know it's in January, so I didn't put any effort into it until, of course, after Christmas, because I'm a mom and had Christmas responsibilities. And, I got ready for market within 3 weeks, and I was Googling line sheet, how to make a line sheet, and what is market. And I showed up for my first market. That was in this January. It will be 4 years now. I had showed up with maybe 20 stores on our roster. All 20 stores were because I had called every single one of them and had said, hey, I politely Facebook stalked you. We would be an awesome, combination. Please take a chance on my line. And I thought 20 stores was awesome. Now we're sitting at about 2,500 stores throughout the world that carry our line.
Unbelievable.
Within 4 years. So it's been quite the journey, a couple hundred reps. And in 4 years, I can't even express the gratitude for the amount of people that have told me that they believe in me and that they get what I do, and that and the reps that take my stuff out of a bag and say, hey, look at this line and you should sell this, and tell your customers how awesome it is.
Yeah. Well, it seems like the other thing that you do that really impresses me is you surround yourself with good people.
I do.
And you kind of attract them too, I think. I mean, when you do that, you definitely have one of your new tokens says your vibe attracts your tribe. Mm-hmm. You've got a great vibe, and I think people are attracted to you, and they're like, yeah, we want what it is that she's got.
Yes, I say I have a couple true skills, and I would say that attracting talent could probably be one of my top ones. And yes, I have great people that surround me that luckily they lift me up and they believe in me and they cheer me on, and I come in and I say, hey, we're already working on a catalog and we already did a photo shoot, but hey, I've now decided we need one more photo shoot because I want these really beautiful spreads to open up each section. And let's also, I want a new logo. And that means we need new tags, but it's just going to be so much more beautiful. And
new
they
tags,
go,
a new website,
and let's just do a new website too, because, let's just go all the way if we're going to do it. And you know what? They go, you're right. Let's just do it. It's going to be awesome. And you can only do that when you are surrounded by people that buy in and that see your vision and want it to be as beautiful as you want it to be. I'll always give the scenario that I'm either like you, we're either rowing it or we're drilling holes. And I'm really lucky that I have a lot of rowers that I get to surround myself with. And they're always looking around for people drilling holes.
One of the questions I have for you is, it seems like there's something about you, I think, that you're very strong and you're confident, but at the same time, you are vulnerable. You don't fake it to be perfect. There's something really incredible about that. How do you handle fear? Do you ever get like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, every day. So I think I've learned that creative souls, I think by very nature, have to be vulnerable, because you're standing out there in the world and what you're doing is you're saying, hey, here's all this stuff from my soul. Do you like it? What do you think? Have everything from inside me, and I'm going to put it out for the world to love or hate. And that's what I do. And you'll see that. And you have to be okay with being imperfect to be approachable. I think there's so much beauty in being imperfect because it makes everybody else happier.
One of your catalogs, your supplement from this last summer, you put in there that the pieces in our line are aged to give them a vintage feel. So if you see a little missing color, it's actually on purpose, and it makes each piece unique. And that's kind of like what it is being imperfect. It's like, well, I'm being the perfect me.
Yep, exactly.
I want to ask you, if you were to encourage a person that's interested in making themselves vulnerable, and maybe it's starting a business, maybe it's being a dancer, whatever it is that their soul is speaking to them, what would you say to them?
I would tell them to first sit down and write out how they envision that, to write where they want to be. I am very big on writing down my goals. I honestly feel like you need to know the direction you're going and where you want to be. And then I just think you need to tell fear to shut up. We all have this record player in our head. Every single one of us has this record player that plays. And I don't know if society tells us to this or how this happens, but we have this little thing, and it's this thing on repeat, and it tells us either that we're not good enough or we can't do it, or society's against us, or things are impossible, or we're not good enough, or we're not special enough. And so first, envision where she wants to go, and second, that her job is to take the needle off the record. Her job is to be fiercely in charge of the voice inside her head and to make sure that the needle is off the record and that is not playing in the background of her mind. I was raised by a single mom that was illiterate. I'm dyslexic, severely dyslexic with learning disabilities, and not a good student. And what are the chances that I have one semester of college, and what are the chances that I am running the company I'm running? I am surrounded by pure awesomeness.
Nikki Halgren, owner of Gleeful Peacock. Thank you.
Thanks, Nate.